Today I thought it'd be kind of interesting to do kind of a yard tour, an end of season yard tour. We're going to be having a lot of bad weather coming in over the next week. I think this is the end. I think this is literally the last few nice days that we've got before winter weather is here for the rest of the season. I got a handful of projects around the house that I never completed, so I kind of want to give a little bit of an update to a handful of them, show you where we're at. It looks a bit better than I expected it to at this time of the year, considering how cold and windy our October was. Anyway, I'm up here at the top of the house. I don't film up here very often, but you kind of get a little bird's eye view. I never really got around to clearing a lot of debris up here. I did it a couple times. There's some of my compost grass piles, grass and leaf piles. I'm going to show you something that I don't think I've put it in a video. Maybe it's been in the background. Look at this. These are all the cores from my last core aeration. The plan was to find low spots throughout the property and drop them down and let them break down over the winter. I have not done that yet. These cores are from pretty much the 1st of September. They've been sitting here for like 3 months now. So I really got to deal with them. Otherwise they're going to be frozen here all winter long. And then look at all of this craziness. This is all dirt that I pulled up, dirt and grass and weeds, just gigantic chunks. I mean, they're huge. This is all stuff that I dug out of the ground when I leveled the area there by the garden and the little kids' playhouse. Again, this is another thing that I was supposed to break all the dirt down and kind of throw away all the grassy debris and move the dirt to other areas of the property, but I just haven't done it. I'm not perfect. I'm gonna have to get to it here before long because, again, it's gonna freeze and I'm not gonna want to be moving dirt around when it's 20 degrees outside. This whole hill, this is what I call my hill yard. This whole hill does not look very healthy, although there's some green poking out. I watered this hill one time this year. This year I decided to not irrigate up here, save for that one time that I did it. Man, the chickens. Guys, I'm filming a video over here. The West Coast is in a drought, and we're no different. I'm in Oregon, and it's drought conditions. There are people on wells in this area that the wells are going dry. So I didn't want to water up here because I don't take care of the yard up here the same way. Down in the lawn, I can go a good amount of time between waterings, and it's very efficient. It holds water well, but up here it's just not taken care of. So I didn't want to waste excessive water on an area that I don't care for. But what's interesting is that green is coming back. So over on the website, I'm like literally publishing material right now where I'm kind of describing the differences between dormant grass and dead grass. And this is a perfect example. The grass that is up here went into dormancy because of stress and drought and heat. And without me irrigating at all, it just started getting rain in the middle of October, and now things are starting to come back. The difference is it's November now, so it doesn't really want to come back strong. We'll see what the weather's like over the winter, and if we get a lot of like snowpack up in the mountains, then I might start taking care of this hill and extending my nice yard up the hill. We'll see. One project though that I'm taking on that is going to be very challenging to get done before everything freezes is the extension of the last little extension of my garden. So earlier in June and July, we extended our garden, added new beds, built new nice fencing. And so I need to finish this last chunk. I've been waiting because we still have vegetables in there. So once I take that wall down, deer are going to go in there and ravage it. So in the meantime, I'm cutting into the ground here and basically doing the same thing that I did over there, pulling chunks of grass to kind of level it out, pulling root systems out, and then I'll be extending the tie or these pavers up the hill. That way we can walk all the way up here to the chickens without trampling over the grass through the winter or mud, or, you know, it's just nicer. It looks nicer too. So we'll see if I can manage to get that done. These are not projects that I put into videos, but I do know that some of you guys notice in the background. Of course, the chickens are always a chore in the winter, so I gotta clean out their coop and prepare that for winter, bring out the heat lamps and whatnot, so they keep giving us eggs all winter long. Gotta give them love too. Hey there. The eggs you poop are delicious. As I come down here to my newer patches of grass, this is stuff that I've made videos on This is the grass that I planted in May and then accidentally killed off a chunk of it and had to grow it back along with the new grass that I put in August and September here. I think it was September. This is going to hopefully harden off through the winter. Now I've had some damage. This hasn't been shared on the channel, but I had some damage here since my last video about this seeding project from the dogs. I mean, there's like dog prints in here. So when it gets muddy and I let the dogs out, they can pretty much ravage a spot, mostly because of my big dog. My big dog is about 150 pounds. Let's see, that's a little dog. He's got never-ending energy. That's Chase. Wilson, there he is, poking his head out. What's up, big guy? Yeah. Wilson is a 150 pounder. This guy is huge. What's up? These beasts of hands of his are going to be rough on that baby grass, so I'm hoping that it will not get damaged too much over the winter, because I have to let them out more often during the winter because it's just mud in their kennel after snow melt. This is an area that I featured in videos a few times in the past, although it's been a while since I prominently featured it. This is an area that this time last year, I was really kind of hoping to extend the yard this way. But when we got new chickens in the spring, we put their portable coop, that little A-frame that you see way up there, we put it here so we had easy access to the baby chicks. And the baby chicks just killed a lot of stuff here, and I wasn't able to keep the grass around it very well. Certainly wasn't able to do renovation projects on this area. Now that I've started doing grading work and new grass around back there, I'm actually thinking about doing grading behind this concrete pad all the way over here. And I don't know if you can tell, but again, the ground over here, like towards the back of the pad, is higher than the pad. So I'd have to dig into the ground some more. So this might actually be another big project in the spring, to flatten this ground out, kind of like I did on the other side. And then back here, I mean, that's probably a solid 9 inches, maybe even 12 inches up from the concrete pad. So that's a huge grading project. And I might do that next year. It'll be hard to do it by hand. Regardless, it would be nice to have grass, even if it's rough grass on this hill. So this is a perpetual idea of mine, but something that I've always wanted, but I don't really want to commit to because of the irrigation problem. It would be nice to seed up here and get some better grass, but I just don't know if it's worth the trouble when I'm not sure if I want to keep irrigating up there. As I come back over here to the fence line, I made a video a couple months ago about fence line management. And I made it appear that I did the entire fence line, like I cleaned up everything on the outside of the fence. Well, I actually did quite a bit of work, and I got up about halfway, and then I injured myself. I never mentioned this on the channel before, but by the time I got to here, pulling out all the grass and weeds and stuff out of here, I actually slipped and hit my chest on one of these rocks and really hurt myself pretty good. So I stopped and I never got back to it because it took a lot out of me, and it took a long time for my ribs to start feeling better. Next year, I really need to figure out a way to deal with everything that comes up on the, in the fence line. I mean, we're talking, if you look straight down at it, there's boulders there. I mean, that's the start of the rock wall, boulder wall. So most likely I'm going to have to do a non-selective herbicide of some kind just to keep the vegetation. I don't really like putting stuff like that down, but if I want this to look its best, I've got to kill everything off at least once before I can go into maintenance mode, because digging it out by hand on the other side of those boulders is challenging and dangerous, and it's just very hard work. As you get over here, the boulders are quite high. I mean, we're talking I mean, they're like 5 feet tall right there from the ground up to the top of the boulders. Down here under our plum tree has always been a perpetual problem with weeds and just natural grasses that grow down there. I would like to start eradicating this of weeds and natural grasses and turn it into more manicured landscaping, like plants that we put in and flowers and desirables. So that's something that I really got to get on probably in February and March to have any chance. Right now, everything green down there is going to die off pretty soon, or at least go dormant. Down here on the hill, I featured this in the video a handful of times. There used to be a gigantic debris pile there, and I was able to get rid of the whole debris pile and flatten most of it out, and it never became a priority over the summer. But I'd like to finish flattening it out so I can keep all of this clear, because we are in the summer, we're always in a risk of fire. So it's good to have that fire break and barrier. So that's why I cut everything down. I never put these things in the video, but I push it back to give us some space between our house and stuff that can burn, I guess you could say. This whole area over here under our tree swing, you know, this area of the house, as you go down here, it's enormous, it's crazy steep. We get a lot of erosion. So I'm actually looking into some options for some ground cover that's not exactly turf grass to put down here so I can start doing better erosion control. Unless we want to drop an enormous amount of money and extend the retaining wall around, that's yet to be determined. But putting down ground cover isn't that big of a deal. Here's the front of the house, which I've talked about a couple times. This is my late seeding that I did, germinated that in 20-degree weather with a fine fescue that's filling in. I would like to extend it around to the front of the house, but that's going to require another huge chunk of work pulling all of this stuff out. I mean, there's just tons of, I don't know how deep it is, but it's just work. So I'm going to find time for it. If I can, I'm going to extend some fine fescue mostly to the front of the house, because this is a very shady spot. It's always cold, and it doesn't need the same fertilizer, water, and sunlight requirements of the rest of the yard. That would be what I would do if I take that project on. Down the hill, the big front 40 is always just again, we're not watering down there, and we live in a desert, so we don't get enough rain to keep it green through the summer, so I don't care to try. I just want to keep the weeds at bay a little bit better this coming year compared to the year that's ending right now. The green patch that you see is on top of our septic kind of runoff, so it's always green there, and there's tons of weeds, horrible thistle stuff that grow up there. I need to stay on top of it. Most likely I'm going to be picking up a new mower for it. It's too steep for my taste to use like a ride-on mower. So I'm most likely going to be going for the 25-inch Greenworks, which is, as far as I know, it's the widest walk-behind battery mower on the market. I can't think of anything wider than that. So that's probably the one I'm going to be going for. So look for videos featuring that mower next year, most likely. And behind my truck, that's the big hill. This area of the yard is almost never featured in videos, but it's something that I might feature in videos in the coming season, because I am looking at clover as an option. Now, we're gardeners, and clover flowers are fantastic for bees. But I don't really exactly want them in the main lawn. Plus, normal herbicides that kill weeds also tend to kill clover as well. So I'm looking at some micro clover varieties, or maybe some of the ground cover. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what it's called, but it's the stuff that it's a nitrogen fixer. It can pull nitrogen right out of the atmosphere, so you don't have to fertilize it. And putting it there on this hillside. Look, there's my vacuum doomed for the dump. Stopped working on me. So I want to cut all this down. I would like to have some ground cover here, something that is low maintenance, and gives me some more variety for the YouTube channel, because lots of people dislike clover, but I don't think that it should be cut out. Like, there's some solid uses for clover, and I think this could be a good area for some of it, at least maybe part of this. I don't know, we'll see what I do. Again though, I got to keep it cut back. I've done really well this year keeping it cut back for fire break purposes. With the kids being a little bit older in springtime 2022, my youngest will be almost 2 years old. Hopefully that'll be easier to devote the time to do these general maintenance practices. We'll see. All right, now here is my last major task. This area is pretty much never the focal point of any of my videos, but it's almost always in the background. It's a horrible eyesore, and I always am just avoiding it and pretending it doesn't exist. So this is our well. This is on the outside of the fence. We've got tons of weeds. Some of these, I mean, these aren't weeds. These are flowering plants. They just they're past their prime. They're gonna go dead. This is lamb's ear, I think. But there is a lot of weeds in here. I really need to make a concerted effort, a strong push to rip everything out of here and landscape this so that it looks good. I'm tired of this being an eyesore in the background of videos, and an eyesore for me and my wife and family and friends when we just come in. It's like the first thing you see right there. So I really got to deal with that, hopefully in the spring. A side benefit of dealing with that is that I'm going to have less invasion of unwanted grasses here at the fence line. So here side, I mean, you see that right there? I mean, that's on the inside of the fence, but that's this stuff. So if I can eradicate all of that, it'll make this whole area over here just a nicer place. And then of course the dogs. I suppose this isn't the last major one. This is the last major one. I'd like to do some landscaping in here for the dogs. They're on this hill. They've got a nice little flat spot up top, a couple houses. We let them out through the yard, but when they're in here, I want them to have a better base of their kennel. So a lot of this is just dirt and rocks that have kind of compacted down. So I'll do some more manual landscaping if I can find the time and will to do it, and make this a better spot for Mr. Chase here. Hi. Right now it's about 50 degrees outside. We had a little warm up over the past week. It is going to be in the 30s and 20s really for the rest of the week. I think it's kind of just the start of winter. We'll probably have snow on the ground here soon, but this is pretty much the end of the season. I want to thank all of you guys for watching, especially videos like this where I'm just kind of meandering around and talking into the camera. The people, those of you watching this right now, you're my best followers. I mean, you guys are devoting your time just to watch me, and I want to show appreciation for you. Thank you for watching throughout the season. I'm going to continue making stuff over the winter. It's not necessarily going to be in the yard. I might do some studio stuff in the garage or the office. I want to do some foundational material for the YouTube channel. It's going to apply any time of the year, just general knowledge stuff. So hopefully you'll watch some of that stuff. It'll be more educational. And I'm going to be preparing some written material that you can take a look at over on the website. I'm always referencing the website. I really need to expand the amount of content that's over there and the quality of the content. So that is going to be a priority for me over the winter as well. I've started an email newsletter. It's basically something that I'm just emailing out information that's timely. So something, you know, December 1st, this is what you do. If you're not on that list, I'll put a link to it down in the description below. Take a look at it. I'd love to see you in the email inbox. This is the end of the season, and you gotta enjoy the now, the present. I'm going to do my very best to enjoy everything about the holiday season coming up and the winter weather coming. Love taking the kids out skiing, sledding on the front hill. I want to enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy your season as well.